All right, everyone, now we have to talk about Venezuela, and unfortunately it's bad news as opposed to good. In Korea, it's like, peace might break out there. John McCain, again, he's rolling over in his grave. We can attach electrodes to his coffin, and we can generate enough to power a small town. Be great, it's green energy, as in he's green with envy over Trump's foreign policy successes. Unfortunately, in Venezuela, the situation's deteriorating very quickly. And this is, again, I hate to say this, kind of, but I told people that as soon as Pompeo declared the regime to be illegitimate, it was clear that things were about to happen, and within less than a week, Guaido says, well, yeah, I'm the president now. Maduro goes, half into hiding. His group has been attacked several times. Maduro's people have attacked protesters with live fire, have killed a bunch of people. Now you have this humanitarian convoy. It's funny to watch all the socialists say, no, it wasn't actual humanitarian aid. They were trying to smuggle weapons and shit to the protesters. At this point, I don't really care if they do. Maduro has started to cull his own people and is reigning over a non-functional state. He's not recognized by most of Latin America. The Lima group might get involved. There's scuttlebutt that the Lima group might invade. Now, that doesn't involve the United States, and this is the only legitimate intervention that can be done is by the neighbors of Venezuela that are hard-pressed at this point to take care of all the fucking refugees, namely Colombia and Brazil, among other groups. The United States can't get involved, and if you point out that regime change might happen there, if you point out especially, hey, Guaido is just a less crazy socialist, basically. It's not like he's a capitalist. They're trying to call Guaido far-right, and I know that I'm pronouncing that name kind of wrong, but that's okay. Somebody tried to tell me the pronunciation the other night. I can't remember. Guaido, I don't know. Don't disrespect, but, I'm not a native Spanish speaker. Here's the thing. Not everything in the world that happens that's bad for socialism is a CIA coup. Sometimes socialism just breaks down because socialism fucking sucks. And by the way, then we have responses. Now, we've got two responses from two different individuals that are like dichotomous fucking opposites. Marco Rubio, little Marco fucking Roboto, link in the description to funny stuff about him. Trust me, you'll like it. It's from the last election. It's a little song I sang from Marco. It's very funny. People appeared to enjoy it at the time, at least. Marco Roboto comes out and he posts a picture of Gaddafi. Now, it's against Twitter's TOS to even post that kind of material. It's like, here you've got Gaddafi on his throne smiling, and then in the next panel it's like him, being sodomized with a stick and all bloody and stuff. And it's like it appeared to be a threat towards Maduro. So you're saying that you want Venezuela to become a non-functioning state full of slaves with no economy and total breakdown of order that leads to terrorism, Marco? That's not a good look for you. But I mean, Marco Rubio is a warmonger. It's like, again, he's one of those neocon fucks. It's like, over here we need gun control, but over there we need gun running, basically. What a fucking sellout. What a fucking moron to post Gaddafi. Gaddafi, yes, your good friend Hillary Clinton loves that image too. She probably wanks herself off at night thinking about Gaddafi being assassinated. Gaddafi was the only thing holding that country together. Now, thankfully, Venezuela is an opposite situation. Maduro is the problem there, not the Gaddafi-esque solution. There's really no comparison between the two. And he didn't supply any further commentary. He didn't say, well, the United States can strike any... He didn't even say anything. He just posted the image like an idiot. Did some staffer post this? He should probably remove it. I flagged it because it's clearly against Twitter's TOS. Not that they'll do anything because he's a neocon war lover, so, they'll never kick him off Twitter. They only want to kick off peaceniks because, if peace breaks out, it's bad for business. Then we've got Bernie Sanders, and he's like, well, we condemn Maduro. He must let the aid convoy through. And it's like, fuck you, Sanders. You spent the last decade clamoring for the United States to adopt what Venezuela already has. They're democratic socialism. Maduro was democratically elected. You're a democratic socialist. What's the difference? Breadline Bernie, he literally, there's a clip. So, by the way, as an aside, in all honesty, people are circulating all sorts of clips of Sanders from the 70s and 80s. A lot of them that I'm seeing are out of context. He did not praise Castro. He was using examples of the psychological control of the Castro regime, for instance. But he did say that breadlines were a good thing. He was impressed by the USSR and how lovely and wonderful things were. Now, people's jobs, this was his wife saying it, but I can't do a Jane Sanders impression because I'm not female. I haven't taken enough estrogen, I guess, even though she's like 80 now too, so she doesn't have any more either. Basically saying, well, the jobs and the recreation have fused together. Yeah, because, you don't have time for true recreation. Everything you do has to make some sort of productivity for the motherland. That's what you were really seeing. You should have gone to the less nice areas outside of the fucking tourist resort you stayed in. You would have seen a different situation. It's funny when he was singing commie songs there with a bunch of Soviets and shit like that, and it's like, it would have been funnier if he had gotten arrested. It's like, oh, this bourgeois capitalist, he's not a real commie, so we're going to throw him in jail for mocking us. So fuck Bernie Sanders. He's been wanting the same kind of centralized policies Venezuela has over here for years, and then he has the gall to call out Maduro. He basically, if he were elected, he would basically be Maduro when you really think about it. You've got a constitution that will be ignored in the name of my workers' pragmatism and stupid fucking shit like that. He'd be democratically elected while being socialist. Okay, that's Maduro is democratically elected. In a shitty rigged election that you never call it. You were too busy worrying about the Russians fucking with Facebook ads or something, Bernie. So fuck it, he's even worse than Rubio. Rubio's sitting there, regime change is funny, it'll be funny. Yeah, well, really funny, dude. Laugh at what happened to Libya, where hundreds of thousands of people have been human trafficked and shit. Where you had an economy that was almost first world in the urban and suburban areas. Gaddafi, yes, brutal man, crazy, apparently, fucked on piles of gold and crazy shit like that. Had concubines and everything else, like an emperor of years of yore. Okay, maybe so, but he held his country together. He's sort of like Saddam Hussein. The reason we overthrew him is he wanted to create his own currency bloc. That's really what it was about. But in the case of Venezuela, there's no attempt to do that. It's just a non-functioning state that's been a thorn in our country's side. It happens to be collapsing, so we took the opportunity to declare, at this point, we can't really recognize Maduro. He's ignoring his own country's laws, for Christ's sake. He's ignoring his own laws. He's killing his own people. He's already been condemned by virtually every other nation in the hemisphere. The U.S. showed restraint. He had already been condemned by Peru, by Colombia, by Brazil, and even before Bolsonaro took charge. He was condemned by Canada. He was condemned by Argentina. And everyone else abandoned him. We still hadn't officially recognized Guaido or any other alternative to Maduro. We hadn't really said much. We said, well, we condemn his actions. It's sad. It's a non-functioning regime, but we had never officially declared Maduro to be illegitimate. We held off, ironically had restraint in this situation. What I would say is this. The United States shouldn't even consider military involvement. If Maduro's troops begin attacking one of their neighbors, they attack the Colombians, we have a military relationship with them, the Brazilians, same thing, then we can get involved in a defensive sense. But I don't think a single U.S. troop should ever step foot in Venezuela. It would frighten the people there that have been so propagandized to it, probably start a major civil war. It would cause huge problems. A million people could get killed. Whereas if we allow people who sort of speak the lingo, they're from the same continent and so forth, they've got closer relations with Venezuela and have, like Colombia, like Brazil. If they get involved, then it's better, I think, ultimately, even if there are casualties, which there would be. Some of the military, I think, would defect immediately. They'd say, this is an unwinnable situation. What are we fighting for? Ultimately, I think half the troops would defect. The Venezuelan military would quickly melt down. Hopefully it'd be a very quick, cut-and-dry conflict. Unfortunately, whenever the U.S. gets involved, that never happens, because Halliburton and Raytheon get involved, and they say, no, don't win too quickly. We need time to test all this new weaponry out in a combat situation. So then we can sell you more weapons and kill more people down the road. We got to advance our tech. So you got to draw out the war a little bit more. We're getting a buff on our technological progression in aeronautics and naval warfare and stuff, and energy extraction for the war effort. That's what had happened. But I mean, even if, let's say that Maduro falls, he gets killed, he gets tossed in the river, he gets sent to the Hague or something, it will barely matter, because Venezuela will still be socialist, which is the problem. Socialism is the problem, not Maduro. Chavez set the stage for the problems that they have by lacking diversity in their economy. He decided to speculate instead on future oil sales. He speculated wrong, never diversified. All progress was pissed away in the course of a couple of years. Now they are worse off than before their so-called revolution, which was really a violent overthrow of a better regime by a bunch of commies. That's really what it boils down to. That's about all. Peace out.